Live.
Welcome into Last Call. Kelly Stewart here, and I am dressed for the occasion. We have a ton of bowl games. We have 2 NFL games, a little bit of college basketball, and maybe some NBA. I didn't even look at that slate, but we're going to get into that here in just a minute. I am not leaving my couch today. This is the last full day of college football until August. So plan accordingly, guys. Get your pizza delivery app open and get ready to sit on your ass and be lazy like me all day. You know who's not lazy? Gianni the Greek. It is 8 a.m. on the West Coast, and I guarantee he's been up for the last 3 hours. VR, welcome in.
Good morning.
These are the bowl games I'm actually excited about for the most part, right?
Yeah.
We know we've had plenty of time, plenty of information. We know who's in, we know who's out, we know who has their coaches, who doesn't. And I've done a lot of bitching over the last month about the bowl games because I think more than anything else, I'm kind of disappointed at how things have started to pan out. But some of these games are really good. If you guys have not seen the Bet On It edition of these bowl games, it is up right now on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. VR, I'm going to let you kind of get into it. I'm going to get my pen and paper ready. I'm going to let you do what you do best, and that is let us know what you've seen from your side of the computer screen.
All right. Start off at the top. Pittsburgh and East Carolina. A lot of under money. That's what sticks out the most in that game. Ton of under. Obviously, that line moved so significantly from 59.5 down to 52. Got down to like a low as 51. That's where you saw a little bit of take back, but it's been nothing but under money from the recreational bettors and the wise guys. But rest assured, the betting syndicates are not going under 52. They went under 59, 58, 57. They backed off. As far as the sides, same situation where the lines just moved so significantly. Pittsburgh from a 6-point favorite went off at almost 2 touchdowns. So it leaves you where you even take East Carolina or leave it alone. Power rated wise, I had Pittsburgh about a touchdown favorite, but then you have to factor in all the players that opted out. And that's the situation we're dealing with that you have to try to factor in. What's the value over replacement? It's a lot easier in the NFL than college football. That's why you have such significant line moves in college football. Pricing these players has been the difficulty. Penn State, Clemson, big line move there. At first, it dropped down. You saw Penn State steam come in. Then you started seeing Clemson money come in later in the week. They got a lot of players out for both of these teams. Power rated wise, no surprise. If you've been watching Bet On It, you know I have Penn State as a top 10 power rated team. And I have Clemson barely in the top 30, but the line reflects the players that have opted out and the situation going on at Penn State. As bettors got to determine, is that warranted or is it an overreaction? As far as the public money in that game, it's been Clemson and the under. They're betting the under in this game as well. So they like the Penn State under. They like the East Carolina under. That's the betting public that's betting it. Next game, Connecticut Army. Wise guy money on Connecticut. Wise guy money on the under as well. That total's now dropped. It's as low as 42 with the under juice. The guys I work with, we were going under 44 and 43. Now, the Connecticut looks like a take back as well because that got steamed up. Got to remember, that line opened at like 3, 2.5 even juice. So it opened 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, got as high as 9, 9.5, 10 before you started seeing take back on Connecticut. I don't think the line got dummied up. I think it was Army information and Connecticut information that was forcing the steam on Army. And then it just got a little bit too high and you started seeing some of that Connecticut steam come back. These teams opposite. If you look at the data, Connecticut's the better offense. Army's the better defense. Both real weak strength of schedules. Georgia Tech, BYU, all BYU money there. One-sided BYU money from the public. Fresno State and Miami, very comparable based on my power ratings. Surprised I'm seeing Fresno State climb this high. Again, it's public money driving that line. A lot of favorites. They're betting the favorites big. They're betting Clemson. They're betting BYU. They're betting Fresno State. And they're betting Missouri too. That's another one. Also, North Texas, that got steamed also. Virginia, Missouri, all one-sided Missouri money. LSU Houston. LSU got steamed at +3. I gave that out to my subscribers early on. Based on my power ratings, I actually had LSU as a top 25 team. I have Houston barely in my top 50, but if you look at the rankings, they have Houston as the 21st best team in the country. I highly disagree with that. I actually think LSU is probably around the 21st best team in the country. So I like the LSU side. I like their defense. I like they have a top 15 strength of schedule as well. But that line's gone now. And the public's betting Houston at, pick 'em or 1, whatever that line's down to now. So that's some of the info on the college football.
All right, let's go over some of the stuff that Art DeCesar sent me from the Westgate Superbook. He said, now, listen, I know these numbers have dramatically moved, so you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You mentioned Pittsburgh in the under VR, but he mentioned the sharp guys hit Pittsburgh at 5.5. Now, my question from the group chat, my buddy Clint texted me this morning. He said, are we really laying 2 touchdowns with Pat Narduzzi? Can you go back to that game? Because 13.5 is pretty overblown, in my opinion, at this point in time.
It is. And here's the thing. Pittsburgh is a top 40 team power rated wise. East Carolina, top 60. So on paper, Pittsburgh is the much better team. They have a top 20 offense, barely top 60 defense. But when you look at the East Carolina, they're not even in the top 50 on offense or defense. So there's going to be a huge advantage for Pittsburgh offensively. Also, you look at strength of schedule. East Carolina had about the 80th toughest strength of schedule compared to around the 50th for Pittsburgh. So all the advantages are on the Pittsburgh side, but this line's just climbed way too high. Like I said, power rated wise, if these teams were intact and this was a regular season game, Pittsburgh would be about a 6-point favorite, no more than a touchdown favorite. So you're being asked to lay about a touchdown premium on Pittsburgh right now. Again, I don't think it's warranted at all. The guys that laid Pittsburgh early, yeah, they did their job. They got a good bet. It's like if you got a -6 in your pocket and the game goes off 13, you did your job. You can't go out there and play the game for them. But I didn't understand why they were laying the 12s, the 13 that I saw the public doing this morning. Like they were betting Pittsburgh like it's automatic, putting Pittsburgh in teasers, putting Pittsburgh in money line parlays. And I just don't think that the discrepancy is that huge between these two teams. Again, this is all based on players opting out and not playing. That's the line move. Otherwise, it's not warranted. And I just think that's just way too many points for a bowl game like this one to be laying for Pittsburgh. For me, it was dog or pass. I just didn't get there with it.
All right, let's go over a couple more of these. Army -3 was sharp. UConn +10.5 sharp. But the game is now somewhere in the middle. Army -8.5. Yeah. Now, I found this interesting because I gave out Georgia Tech on Bet on It this week. And it says Georgia Tech money at 4, now 3.5. They're seeing some public support. You mentioned it was all BYU money. Yep. North Texas 3 and 4 was sharp, now -7. UVA +7 and 6 was sharp, now 3.5. And he said it's all LSU money all the way. So another very public side. Also, I'm guessing some sharp money mixed in there as well, VR, as you mentioned, from a power ratings perspective. We got 2 NFL games. Before we get to those, if you guys do have a question, David Delano from Picks and Parlays is going to be up next. Steve Merril from WagerTalk.com is going to be up after him. So save your questions or drop them in the chat, and I will be sure to save them for you. VR, tomorrow you guys are doing a Steam Room, not just for your premium subscribers, not just for the WagerTalks insiders, for everyone, correct?
Yeah, everybody. It's the end of the year and set us up for the 2026. David, I saw your message. Welcome aboard, brother. We're going to have an epic 2026 is coming up, right? 2026. Jump on board, bro. We're going to have some fun. Yeah, the Steam Room's open to everyone tomorrow. We're going to go over all the NFL games. More importantly, talk about the money management, the risk management system that I've used that's helped me have success over the last decade at WagerTalk, and answer all your questions, prepare you for 2026. Because again, it's going to be here before you know it. January 1st will be here. Another opportunity to do the right things and do it the right way. I'm going to help set you up for that. So yeah, big day covering NFL tomorrow. Like you said, 2 NFL games today. Also, Baltimore, Green Bay, Houston, LA Chargers. Attractive games considering Christmas wasn't good, Thanksgiving wasn't good, but today we got some good games.
Yeah, absolutely. We sure do. Art DeCesar from the Westgate Superbook just gave us his college sharp action, and I'll go over it again here towards the end of the show for all of you that missed it. He said it's all Ravens money today. They're going to need Green Bay.
Wow.
I was really surprised to hear that too. I mean, we've seen that Green Bay line tick up, and I thought, okay, are we going to see Jordan Love? And then last night, sitting there on my couch, no Jordan Love, he's out. So I thought, okay, it's going to be interesting. We've got the battle of the backup quarterbacks, and VR, as you mentioned, it was awful on Christmas. Even though the Lions lost to a third-string quarterback, the guy had 41 yards. So I'm really happy. At least we have serviceable backup quarterbacks that we've seen play before, right? We've seen Tyler Huntley play before in place of Lamar. We've seen Malik Willis play in place of Jordan Love before. Do you put those guys on an even playing field as far as their abilities to run those offenses, or is one guy power rated higher than the other?
Yeah, here's where I'm a little bit surprised. Because Huntley, the drop off from Lamar to Huntley is a lot greater than it is on the Green Bay side, going from Love to Willis. Like if you look at the sample size that we have of data, if you look at the QBR, the negative is the amount of starts. We don't have many starts on the Willis side. I think we have like 2 starts. So he's been serviceable, but not really starting games. That's the negative there. So that's where I've had a little problems quantifying the value over replacement. But I don't think the drop-off was that significant. I heard it yesterday and started seeing that Baltimore money come in. And I actually like Baltimore. I thought they were a little bit undervalued in this matchup. But now since the adjustment, I'm just not too sure that's the case anymore. What sticks out to me is the total, because you're seeing a huge adjustment now downwards. And this is over a touchdown move. We're looking at 8-point line move in the total. Now, granted, you're looking at 2 solid defenses, number 11 for Baltimore, number 4 or 5 for Green Bay. But they had weak strength of schedules. So, a little bit phony on just how good those defenses truly are. I think that's they over adjusted on that total. As far as the side goes, like I said, I was leaning the Baltimore side, but I don't like the Love situation. Again, usually the market overreacts to what a player's worth, and I do think the drop-off for Baltimore is more significant than it is for Green Bay, and I think this is a slight overreaction. Gun the head, I'm betting Green Bay or pass right now. In the second game, this is the good game, Texas and the Chargers. These are very comparable teams because offensively, one's 19th, one's 17th. Defensively, one's number 1. That's Houston. And the Chargers, they're in the top 10. They're like 7th or 8th, depending on what metrics you use. So you have 2 very comparable teams offensively and defensively. What sticks out the most is strength of schedule, where Houston's had the 6th toughest schedule and the Chargers have had the 30th toughest schedule. So no surprise, the Chargers, are an 11-4 football team. They had only 2 teams had an easier schedule than them. The surprise is Houston having won 67% of their games, sitting at 10-5 when they've had the 6th toughest schedule. So on paper, I think Houston is the better team. But you are seeing the market move towards the Chargers. That's what I got to decipher there, because we had Houston open as the favorite. That was the look ahead. Now you got the Chargers as the favorite. So I'm still digging in. That's why I haven't put up an NFL package. No reason to force anything. I love my college football package. I got my first 5% of the bowl season going up and got a nice card for NFL tomorrow. So hopefully I could confirm something between now and this evening for today's games. But otherwise, it's going to be college football and move into NFL tomorrow.
Yeah, VR. Art said Texans +2 was sharp. And now it's 1.5. I'm just teasing the Texans. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know that I come on every single show and everybody's getting sick of it, but the Lions, teaser loser of the week. We had 1 teaser loser last week. So I'm just going to keep going with what works, playing my barking dog that we give out on Bet On It, looking at a best bet, having my entry in the super contest, and the teasers just keep cashing, especially if you have those correctly priced teasers. Yep. Keep an eye on some of these because we've seen a couple move in and out. Raiders just moved into position. for Sunday. Bengals moved out. I'm going, oh boy, VR is going to have a heyday with that one if I'm wrong there, because that's what happened to the Lions about probably 15 minutes before kick on Christmas Day. And I thought, oh my, they're going to lose this game outright. I saw that my good buddy Trent was on the Lions. I said, all right, I'm going to take some 7 with the Vikings. Thank God I did, because I got obliterated in about 5 Lions teasers. It is what it is, right?
It happens.
It does happen, and that Vikings defense played really well. So I'm with you today. I think I like the Texans, but I think I'm going to wuss out. Take the teaser position. You're going to be back tomorrow. Errol Epstein, right here, same time, same place. Don't forget, guys, right after WagerTalk's last call tomorrow, the Steam Room is open and it is free. So make sure you guys head over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. You guys will see it pop right up. You can join right on in. Get any of your last-minute questions answered by VR. He is the best. VR, anything you'd like to leave our audience with?
I think there's this one college basketball game today. I'll give that to you. We bet it. We laid minus 16.5 and 17. I gave it out to my subscribers. Good to 17, minus 115. It's 3% play, nothing huge, but we did take Stanford in that one against Northridge. And again, best of luck to you guys today. That wasn't a mistake. If you got if you're a subscriber, not the package, you only saw LSU once. If you got the package, but if you're a subscriber, you saw LSU twice. That's not a mistake. We just got the best of the numbers. So big day today, 5% and LSU on there twice. So let's have a huge day today.
I love it. Cash him, don't trash him, VR, and we'll be back with him tomorrow. And of course, we'll be back with him for the college football playoff here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel to cover all of the quarterfinals on Tuesday. Let's bring in David Delano from Picks and Parlays. David, welcome in. You're going to answer all these questions for our audience. They've been piling up. They want to know what you like on these college football and NFL games for today. And maybe you even have an opinion on the Stanford game that I almost wasn't even sure it was today. I had to go back. I've still got college football in the brain. Let's be real.
Hey, well, Kelly, first of all, it's so good to be here with you. Honored to do that. I noticed, like, the way I'm recording, this light now has just started shining on me before. So I don't know if that's like going to be a good shine or if it's kind of like a Patrick Swayze. Maybe I'm dying. We'll see how these picks go. So I'm aware of that. And it just started happening right before you came in. So
oh, good. This is why I have blackout curtains in my office and I get absolutely no vitamin D throughout the football season, because that shine can be really great or very unforgiving. The good news is if you give out winning picks, our audience does not care. That is the best part about these guys. They're fired up in the comment section this morning. Let's just start right off the top. I mentioned some of the sharp plays that Art DeCesar had mentioned to me got early money. How are you attacking these bowl games? And I, like I said to VR, these are some of the good bowl games, right? Yeah. Like Minnesota was fun last night. I enjoyed getting to cash that late. I felt bad for Marco because I realized he was on the other side, but that was a fun bowl game. For the most part, though, these have been dead on unders, complete snooze fests. How are you attacking today's college bowl slate?
Yeah, so I've got 2 that I'm actually wagering on, and I think that when you're looking at these, you not to be the Grinch, I know everyone wants to wager on every single thing and have as much action as possible, but if you don't like the numbers, you just have to know when to walk away. Like I heard you guys talking about that Pittsburgh East Carolina game. East Carolina, you don't have your starting quarterback, running back, your second leading receiver. I can understand why the line moves like that, but at the same time, once it starts, if you don't get on that number early, don't feel like, okay, I missed it at 8.5 or 10. Now I have to jump on at 13.5. Sometimes you just need to know when to walk away. But I do think that in the right spots, I'm okay with laying points. And an example is the Army situation. You got a Joe Fagano, UConn quarterback, not going to play in this game, going to the NFL draft. Really underrated, 28 touchdowns, 1 interception. You had a lot of opt-outs on that UConn side, and also the coaching change with Jason Candle coming over from Toledo. So when you look at a game like that with so many key opt-outs, UConn, their explosive offensive team, but that offense, even offensive line, is so much in turmoil. Going up against a team like Army that's already tough to play in bowl games, doesn't have any opt-outs. Army, Kelly, hate to bring it up, but Army didn't have the best
Oh
season,
boy,
but
here
they're
we
still
go.
dangerous. You saw, what happened.
Listen, kudos to them. They control the time of possession versus every opponent, right? Sometimes it goes in their favor and sometimes it doesn't versus teams like Tarleton State. Yes, that was an absolute stain on the K-State season, as if there weren't several others to just throw in the mix as well.
Yeah, so that one I'm laying the points with Army, and I think that they'll definitely be motivated. Other games, if you're gonna play them, I think a lot of it is really just a bankroll, not trying to make everything back that you spent on Christmas in one play. Like this Penn State Clemson game, we got so many opt-outs on both sides. I don't think anybody's surprised that these two teams are playing late in December, but we're surprised that they both had to crawl their way into bowl games. But I think that Penn State has a little bit of the motivation advantage. That's the type of game where if I'm playing it, I'm kind of just taking the dog, because even though Penn State's got some NFL opt-outs, they've obviously known about their coaching change for a while. I do like the fact that even though Terry Smith did not get the head coaching job, he's still going to be on the staff and be retained. So I do like to see that. Sometimes when you have interim coaches, guys who are still going to be on the staff or that seem to have buy-in versus people who are just going to another program and may have checked out. So that's another one that I like there. But always, you just got to tread lightly. It's a lot of stuff going on with families and holidays, and you zone out for a couple hours and you notice there's another injury or another opt-out. So just kind of know when to say when. And I think that we are going to start to see some more games maybe ticking up with the scoring. One thing that I've noticed, even with the unders, I feel like I like a lot more of these. I'm not a big first half player, but I like a lot of these first half unders a little more than the full game totals, because we've seen a lot of these games start to open up in the second half, maybe even if people are live bettors, because if you want to see points, maybe jumping on late, because this is the last game of the season for so many teams, and you start to see, them get a little bit more aggressive or open things up late. But I think that a lot of these first half unders are the way to go too.
That's interesting because I saw Brian Power tweet about those first half unders as well. Another one, actually two cashed yesterday. Obviously that FIU game when the total got steamed up, we probably knew that wasn't going to be a dead on under. I got a little pissed off because my boyfriend said to me after, I was like, man, where was I on this over? He goes, oh, I bet it yesterday. So, if you saw the clip with me and Ariel where I didn't give him Western Michigan 2 years ago and he's still mad at me about that one, I am now mad that I didn't get the easiest over of the bowl season. Shout out to Sean Higgs hanging out in the comment section with us. Shout out to all of you guys, including our WagerTalk insiders. Guys, let's talk a couple more of these games. I gave out Georgia Tech plus 4.5 on Bet on It this week. And I said, okay, out of these bowl games for this week, this is the only one I'm going to put my hard-earned money on. VR mentioned it's all BYU money, yet this line has come down to 3.5. Generally, that makes me feel very good, right? That reverse line movement when I'm on the dog says, yes, you are on the right track. But I will say there's some interesting dynamics here at play with both of these teams. Haynes King as an underdog has been a great bet for me basically since he started playing at Georgia Tech. BYU, though, do you think there's some motivation there because they got snubbed from the college football playoff? Pop-Tarts Bowl is just not as alluring as a Orange Bowl or Rose Bowl or Sugar Bowl.
No, I do, and I think I might be on the other side with you on this one, Kelly, with BYU. I know, I might chicken out a little bit and say, if you are going to take BYU, take the 3 versus the 3.5. But I think that we're seeing a little bit of opposite motivation. Opposite situation is Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they decided they didn't get into the playoffs. They decided that they weren't going to play in a bowl game. BYU, even though they could be down to their third string running back, but they haven't really gone deep there. I still think that they have an advantage there, and they are going to have the motivation. It seems like BYU is in this game to kind of prove that they deserve to be in the playoffs. And outside of Texas Tech, I mean, this team was solid. Now, both of these teams are very comparable offensively, but on the defensive side of the ball, the advantage is pretty substantial. Even though I like, Haynes King and this Georgia Tech offense, I do think that BYU is going to be able to get more stops. And we saw outside of that Georgia game, and that's a rivalry, we really saw this Georgia Tech defense get shredded at the end of the season there. And I think that this is going to be one of those games that it is going to be exciting for a while, but I think that BYU does have the motivation, and I think that they're going to wear them down. So for me, I would take BYU at -3, or I like BYU to cover in this game.
All right, David, let everybody kind of know what you've got going on over at Picks and Parlays. I know you do a ton of video content for us over there as well.
Yeah, so right now we've been doing over there with picks and parlays, even winners and whiners. I've been previewing a lot of these bowl games, going in depth with these. So people go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel over there as well. I do have 3 NFL plays over on the website that are available right now. I do have a best bet also going on the website in the NFL for Saturday as well. And NBA, NHL, even for those who are interested in that, and college basketball, handicapping with those. And actually, the college basketball has been going even a little bit better, although we're picking up momentum in this bowl season.
Good. I love to hear it. Let's go through some more of these bowl games because, like I mentioned, this is the last Saturday with an actual college football slate of games until August. So I'm going to quit bitching about how they ruined the bowl season, and I'm going to soak it all in, sit on my couch in my hoodie and sweatpants and eat some pizza today as if I haven't just ate my face off the last 3 days as it is. We'll just go through in order. Miami, Ohio, Fresno State, the Arizona Bowl, anything that you have on any of those. I know you mentioned you did a lot of preview videos. Anything at least maybe worth noting. Maybe you're not going to get to the window of with this game, but hey guys, you need to know this if you're going to bet this game.
So for what it's worth, the MAC is my favorite conference. Bowling
really?
Green Grad. Yes,
okay.
it is. So I follow these teams close, but with Miami, Ohio, really interesting story. Their quarterback Daquan Finn kind of quit on them late in the season for weird reasons to get ready for the NFL draft, even though the team still had something to play for and he wasn't having the greatest season. But anyway, Miami's had to go with a couple young quarterbacks since then, and it's been a little bit shaky, kind of going back and forth. As much as I like to back the MAC, this is one of those games. I don't really want to lay points with Fresno State, but I do think that Fresno State minus the 5.5 is the right side. When I look at this, I think back to that game when I think Fresno State was about a 16 or 17 point underdog against Boise State, and it was like, how's Fresno State going to move the ball? They're going to get killed. And I know I was on the wrong side of that one, and they had that dominant win against Boise State. They forced a lot of turnovers, turned it into special teams game, and won with their defense. With all Miami also out without their top wide receiver in this one, I do like Fresno State, or even maybe especially maybe even a first half under. I think that this might be a strong game for a first half under, or if you like those, if you have a book that lets you even get maybe a first half team total under, Miami, I just think that they're going to have a hard time moving the ball here. And even though it seems like a lot of points with a low total, I think that Fresno State's going to wear them down and probably get some points based off the field position game. So need to know that Miami really depleted on offense, and that offense was already not the strongest.
Yeah, maybe another one of those first half unders that have been cashing so well. We'll keep an eye on that one. It starts here in just a few hours. Here's one that I was kind of excited for. The ACC was less than impressive this year. I'm really glad I left them out of all my splash contests. By the way, David, I know you don't know, but these guys know. It was a hell of a battle with John Murray and the splash guys. They wanted my contest to be ACC, Big Ten, SEC. And I said, absolutely not. If we're cutting out a conference, it's not the Big 12, it's going to be the ACC. And I look like a genius because what an atrocious performance by almost every single team, not named Virginia, in that conference this year. Now Virginia loses in the ACC title game to Duke, who probably shouldn't have been there. Kind of shows that maybe Virginia wasn't as good as advertised. Mizzou, though, without their starting quarterback for this one, generally curious here. I know Art Caesar said Virginia was sharp early, and at 6.5, I had them as a long look. Now that number's long gone. Is this kind of maybe getting to the point where we want to start looking at Mizzou? Maybe the backup quarterback drop-off really isn't that significant as we saw him take some different reps throughout the season?
Yeah, I'm not in love with this one, but I do think that it's the time to jump on Mizzou. I don't have a lot of faith in Virginia. You could look at it as far as, their head coach. This is the first time, they've been in a bowl game with them, but this team has been terrible up until this season. And Virginia's been a team that's been hard to trust. And the way they ended the season, I mean, you got to wonder what the motivation is. Had a chance to get into the playoffs. He said they lost to a Duke team that really wasn't that great. And Mizzou, they've dealt with some situations playing both quarterbacks. I like their coaching advantage. I do think that Missouri is the play here for the guys that are playing. I just don't have a hard time trusting the ACC, and I really have a hard time trusting this Virginia team. Looking at that 4, it does look like, on the surface that there may be some value when you look at the season that Virginia had, but for me, it's Missouri or pass.
All right, VR mentioned that LSU was a premium play for his subscribers. They're taking on Houston, 1.5-point underdogs here. Houston did not come out of nowhere. I know we were just talking about the Big 12, but seemingly they, I would say, exceeded my expectation level. Maybe not others, but I was pretty impressed with this Houston team overall this season. Now they're going to play a bowl game. Teams like LSU, who, by all intents and purposes, the entire Bet On It crew, not named Kelly, said, put him in the college football playoff. This was back in August, of course. And I said, why is everybody loving this LSU team? So you have one team who exceeded expectations, one team who fired their coach, lots of drama. Yes, Lane Kiffin's going to be coming in, and that stuff's exciting for next season. But you got to kind of like sleepwalk through a bowl game, right? Last time this happened to LSU, they played my Kansas State Wildcats. K-State won by 40. Not really, but it felt like it. You could just tell the energy was not there for those players. Tons of opt-outs. Again, coaching, carousel, and so forth. You can't handicap motivation here, but to me, it's Houston or pass.
Yeah, I think it is a big motivational spot. I mean, even though they're not technically on Houston's home field, I mean, they're in Houston. And the fact that even though Houston is a Big 12 team now, I mean, they're still not viewed that way. Those guys over on Houston's team are going to be motivated. And their quarterback, who could have, left and went to the transfer portal, he's said that he's coming back. He's going to play. As much as this LSU did have for a long time, and they were a championship caliber defense, but not offensively, which you really expected. That's why Brian Kelly was there, being a, defensive success everywhere he's been. But even since they fired Brian Kelly now, LSU just averaging 16 points a game. And I know sometimes you can throw it out, well, who did they play? Well, one of those games was a 13-10 win against Western Kentucky in Baton Rouge. So now, they're playing their backup quarterback who, got most of the time down the season. I just think that the motivational factor for Houston and the fact that this LSU team has struggled scoring points and their defense has really been what's kept them in games. I don't know what the motivation is for the defense on this side. I will say I do have, for the people watching, this is what premium for me. A lot of respect for VR, but I'm on the other side. I'm on Houston in this one.
Ooh, giving out free premium plays here on a Saturday morning. I always love that from you guys. David, let everybody know what you've got going on at Picks and Parlays on the YouTube channel. I know you mentioned you did a ton of bowl videos. What do you got up for the college football playoff? And for anybody who hasn't ever heard of you, been to the site, what do they need to know about you from a handicapping perspective? What are you looking for? And what do you like to give to your clients?
Yeah, so very selective. I'm looking to have a strong 2026. I wish I could say the same thing for 2025, but in 2024 and in 2022, number 1 overall on the site for all sports. I know that we're coming to an end here for football, but for keep following me here. Baseball is my favorite sport to follow. Love college basketball. Love the NBA. Been doing this for a while. Glad to be here with you guys. So I don't have my premium picks are going to be up by this end of this weekend for the college football playoffs over on Picks and Parlays and Winners and Winers YouTube channel. Subscribe. I've been giving out a lot of free bowl picks. If people want the playoff picks, though, those are the ones that I am holding off for the premium side, and they all cash the same. I'm actually really locked in with the NHL as well, so all of that stuff going on. And even though people start to fade a little bit as far as watching after football season, some of these sports, college basketball and Major League Baseball, is really when I really like to start heating up. So it'll be a great season.
Awesome, David. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on Last Call. Steve Merrill's waiting in the wings. He's going to answer any more of your guys' questions about these college football games today. We got one college basketball game today. Again, I didn't check the NBA slate. We're going to check the NBA slate in April, Steve Merril. That's when I like to do the NBA, like when everything else is out of the way. And I know these guys are ready to play. When do you start your NBA handicapping?
2 months ago. I was going to say, I wish I could wait until April and do it, because I do agree with you. I love the NBA playoffs. I've said for almost 30 years now, this will be my 30th year coming up next week as a professional handicapper, sports bet. I sent the videos yesterday. What is 30th? I know 25 is silver, 50 is gold. I'll be there eventually. Got to look up what 30th anniversary
You mean
is.
like
but
30th wedding anniversary?
yeah, I'm going to Google it right now, damn it, Kelly, because I was questioning this the other day.
Okay, listen, I know that as the female counterpart on the show, I'm supposed to know the answer to that, but I have absolutely
You're nowhere
no
close
idea.
to 30-year anniversary. Come on now, who are we kidding? You're not even 30 years old. We established that with your birthday on the other episode.
Yeah.
30th is Pearl White,
Huh.
and the theme is diamond. Woo! It's going to be an expensive year for Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Oh, boy.
No, when I started back in the mid-'90s, I've loved the NBA playoffs ever since. And I have said, like, if I had a desert island, one sport only I could have handicap for the year, it would probably be the NBA playoffs. I love the zigzag, the back and forth, the adjustments teams make. It's those 7-game series. Baseball is tricky. Hockey is tricky because pitchers and goaltenders carry so much of those teams, and baseball does the 3 and 5 games. Baseball plays twice as many games as the NBA, and they let less teams in, and they play 3 and 5 game playoff series. It makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, I love the NBA playoffs. But hey, look, the NBA regular season is a great moneymaker as well. We're hitting almost 70% here in the month of December. That's #1 best bet profit at WagerTalk. I pick my spots, maybe one play every other day. I've got one best bet tonight for my clients at WagerTalk. Did not use anything last night on the big card. Had one game Thursday. So yeah, look, it's a long grind. As you know, Kelly, the edge that we have as bettors is that you don't have to play every game, but they got to put numbers up on every game. And that is true with college basketball as well. Although, isn't it weird? Just one game here on Saturday. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, because they shouldn't be trying to compete with college football. Here's the problem, though. I guarantee next year they're going to, because they're going to realize that people are still wanting more. And it's probably not even so much the college football bowl games as is the 2 NFL games that they're not probably wanting to compete with, is my best guess.
Yeah, and next year I can't imagine there'll be any games next Saturday because it's going to be December 26th next year. I think most of it is. I think most of it is just the calendar. If this was the 28th, if today was the 28th, in fact, we could go back and look. Last year it would have been Saturday the 28th. I bet you there are a bunch of games because tomorrow and Sunday it's a pretty loaded card. William & Mary plays both Monday and Wednesday. This week they have home games like daytime starts. Nobody played on the 24th, 25th, or 26th. And there's only one game today on the 27th. Two other teams are playing. Wilmington and another team. I think Duquesne and Wilmington are playing like non-Division I opponents. So there's only like 3 Division I teams playing today. 4 teams.
I get it. I get it. Listen, it's a light slate. We already went through all of the college basketball. We already went through all the NFL. And we're going to go back through some more questions that people are joining us late. I'll reshare the stuff from Art to Caesar. But Titan CT is one of my favorites here in the chat. So we're going to stick with NBA here for just a few minutes. Steve, any thoughts on the Nuggets -4?
Nuggets have played better this season than I expected. This is a Nuggets team that world champs a few seasons ago. They're obviously extremely talented. As long as Jokic is healthy, they're always a contender. But last year, I felt like they somewhat kind of sleptwalked through the regular season, and I get it. As you said, Kelly, it really doesn't matter until April. And if you're a veteran team like Denver that's going to make the postseason, has championship aspirations, then why not just kind of do the old load management thing? With that said, they're 22-8 this season. They're off to a nice start, playing competitive basketball. A big win on Christmas against the Timberwolves, a high-scoring 142-138 win. And then we have the Magic. The Magic preseason, I had them over, I think it was like 52.5. I gave that out on the NBA preseason show with Andy Lang. And yes, they have underachieved, just 17-14, but they have been a mash unit, banged up, injuries left and right, shorthanded team all season. So I do think at some point, we're going to start getting some value with the Orlando Magic. Just not sure it's here yet. They've gone just 2-4 straight up and just 1-5 ATS their last 6. And they've covered just 2 of their last 11 games. They're 2-9 against the point spread the last 11. I never try to catch a falling knife, whether it's the sports betting market or the financial market. So I'm in no hurry to back Orlando right now. But I will say it's probably not a great spot for Denver after the big Minnesota win and now laying points on the road.
All right, really quickly, Steve, because this is a fun segment with you every time you're on Last Call, where I give out the art stuff and then you say, no, I like the other side. So just to recap, because the audience is asking me to, Pitt was sharp. That game already has kicked off. Clemson, sharp. Army, UConn, sharp at 10.5. Army was sharp at 3. UConn at 10.5. Game's now right in the middle. Georgia Tech money came in at 4, now down to 3.5. North Texas is sharp at 3-4, now at 7. UVA was sharp at 7-6, now at 3.5. And LSU is all public money. Steve, any thoughts on a couple more of these bowl games that are going to start kicking off here then the next 20 minutes?
Yeah, first of all, those aren't arts plays. Those are the money that the Westgate's
No,
getting,
yeah,
correct?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, those are not arts plays. This is more like, Steve, do you agree? And
yeah, because I disagree with almost every one of those moves. I just want to make sure people know I'm not disagreeing with Art. And I'm not always on the sharp side. And it's hard to say, what the sharp side is with bowl games. These lines have been out for weeks. They've gone back and forth. Some of it is buyback, and if it's a buyback, it's not necessarily the side they liked. They might have taken even more in the initial play. You said the public is on LSU. I like to hear that, though, because in my video, first of all, I've got all 8 games broken down in the video. I know one's kicked off, another one's about to go, but I did all 8 of them, an 8-for-1 special this Saturday in the College Football Bowl video, and I'm doing every bowl game every day next week as well. I'm going to record some of those this afternoon for Monday and Tuesday. So click subscribe, click the bell here for instant alerts. I gave out Houston in the video. I don't think it's a great spot for LSU. Frank Wilson, the interim coach, is going to coach. Kiffin's going to be in there afterwards. Can't imagine they're too focused for this game, and it's the Texas Bowl, which surprisingly is being played in Texas. But even more surprisingly, it's being played in Houston, Texas. So it's basically a home game for Houston. I think they're the more motivated squad. David just mentioned how their quarterback's coming back, yet this line is dropping. It was 3. Now, then I gave it out at 2.5 in the video. Now it's 1.5. So I like that we're fading the public there because I do lean Houston. Makes me like it a little bit more. In some of those earlier games you referenced, I gave out BYU earlier this week on the Blitz with Brian Power and Ross Benjamin as my free play on that show. It was 4.5, 5. Now it's down to 4 when I did the video a couple days ago. Now it's 3.5. I don't agree with that. I like BYU here. My friend Kevin Grogan caught up with Chris Winkie, their FSU alums, got him to autograph a jersey that said Heisman 2000 yesterday. I saw that on Instagram. Pretty cool. Chris Winkie is going to be the offensive coordinator for Georgia Tech because half their offensive staff has left before this bowl game. Both teams are pretty much intact, but I think the coaching edge goes to BYU. And I also think the focus edge goes to him. And the biggest edge I see in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which is going to be the best mascot we see all weekend, by the way. I'm excited just to see the Pop-Tart mascot at 3:30 Eastern. I like BYU's defense. Substantial defensive edge in this game for BYU. And the Cougars, I'm always looking to back the Cougars. I'm backing both Houston and BYU. It's a 2-for-1 Cougar parlay on Saturday.
A Cougar parlay.
And that might be one of the scariest yet most intriguing ideas I've ever heard.
No comment. I'm glad your wife does not have access to the show.
I do it, Kelly, for the comments, man. When I mentioned that in my videos, extra 10,000 views right there. I had a good line the other day. What did I say? I said something about you don't see the Cougars coming, but they see you. Something like that.
My Lanta. Steve Merril is the best, you guys. Steve, let's get into these NFL games before we get out of here. And then I wanted to ask you about the one college basketball for today. But before we do that, what do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com? I know you already mentioned the videos you have up right now on our YouTube channel, but what you've got premium-wise, do you have anything up on the free picks page? Kind of let everybody know where your spot is and where they can check out your work.
Yeah, have some basketball best bets for tonight on Saturday. Also a bowl best bet for Saturday as well. Yes, I'm giving you every bowl game for free every day. 8 games today. One of them is a strong 4% best bet that I'm using that my clients are getting. So if you're playing these free plays in the shows and videos, some of the games I just gave you, 1% of bankroll, TV leans, nothing wrong with that. Have some fun this bowl season. But if you're serious about making money, if you're taking a consistent investment approach, you need the 4% plays, and they're available exclusively on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Then the last cut, just a bit outside from making the card, goes up as a free play for everybody on my page each day. So go get the daily free play, check out the best bets, and while you're there, you can still use the promo code Xmas25. I know Christmas is over, but Will Ferrell is still on my desk. So you still get an instant 25% discount on every purchase this weekend. XMAS25, Xmas25, instant 25% discount. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM.
Yes, I would agree, Sean Michael. One of my other favorite WagerTalk insiders, except he's not an insider, so I'm never going to put him on here again until he joins.
He was a great wrestler, though. Great wrestler.
Sean, you got $2.99 a month. You're in every single one of these shows. You need it.
Can Steve? I didn't see the comment. Can Steve handle 2 Cougars? No, man. They'll slice you up. I don't even want to mess with one Cougar. This one was funny. Good thing Prez isn't here for all the Cougar talk. He knows Prez well enough.
Okay, let's get into
Tiger King. Prez is like the Tiger King.
Tiger King. Let's get into these 2 NFL games. For those guys who popped on late, VR and I both just agreed. It's going to be the easiest thing in the world. I'm just going to tease the Texans. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to relax. But this earlier game, Ravens, Packers, my best friend is a Ravens fan. My boyfriend is a Packers fan. And we were supposed to go to this game, Steve. And boy, am I glad I'm not freezing my ass off in Green Bay today for the battle of the backup quarterbacks.
Who's your best friend, Ariel?
Oh, duh.
Talked to her the last 2 days. It's been a great holiday season. I got to do Last Call Friday, and then I did her show yesterday, and I get to do Last Call with you today. That's a triple play right there. That's a great 3-game call.
Or no. Well, actually, I might need you for Last Call tomorrow with Ariel because I'm still missing a handicap.
I saw that. I might have to do that from my phone. I'll see if I hustle back. You know I hustle back just to do the Saturday show with you. 2 hustle backs in a row is a little too much. Plus, then I might get sucked into that NFL end zone thingy that goes on for 3 hours. And that,
come on, then you can talk
I can't be at my
Friends.
desk on Sunday morning because then I might end up having to do that other show afterwards. So we will see. But I told Ariel actually last night we talked about this game on the Friday show. And by the way, she and I had a great discussion last night. Check it out on her X feed and on my feed as well, at Steve Merril on X. You can see the archive version of the Prop Queen show last night. We talked about living your dream, sports handicapper, sports analyst, TV host, whatever you want to do. Go back and watch that. Some great life advice from Ariel Epstein and myself, Steve Merril, on Friday's episode. But I also talked about the Texans and Chargers game. And I told her, when I did my video for this game, it was +1.5, +2. And now it's +1.5, 1. And as of Saturday morning here now, it's still 1.5, 1. So Kelly talks about it making an excellent teaser. And I thoroughly agree. Told you that in my video as well. But you got to get to 7.5 or more. So a lot of books only have +1. You got to get 1.5 up to 7.5. And the reason being 3 and 7 are the key numbers that you must cover. Packer game might get down to 2.5. We're seeing 3 even money right now. So Baltimore's almost qualifying as a teaser selection if you really got to tie it up today. Also got Penn State in this early bowl game about to kick off, 2.5, cold conditions up there. I do like Penn State, by the way. That's another one I disagree with that money move. You talked about Clemson getting some sharp money. I like Penn State in this early kickoff in a few minutes. But looking ahead to Sunday's NFL card for some other teaser opportunities, I'd be very careful with the Bengals. They were 7.5 when I did my video. Now it's 7, so they wouldn't qualify anyway. And I actually lean Cardinals. And by the way, the Bengals, Kelly, are one of the most public sides in the NFL this week. Fade the Public will be up in a couple hours this afternoon. It has been recorded. Seattle -7 doesn't qualify either. Plus, that's a 10 a.m. Pacific start against the Panthers. You dig down a little bit deeper in the card. Raiders +8.5. They do qualify. Plus, I have no problem getting 8.5 against the Giants on the road, but the Raiders are a train wreck. The one game that's interesting to me, Kel, is that the Eagles are 1.5 like the Texans. Eagles would qualify at 7.5 or more, but they don't have a ton to play for. They're pretty much locked into the 3 seed. But I think the Eagles probably make the best option for someone to tie up with your Houston Texans tonight. And the other possibility would be the Tennessee Titans, 2.5 up to 8.5. There again, Titans a terrible team like the Raiders, but the Saints and the Giants, should they really be road favorites? Those would be the teaser options that I think work for you.
Yeah, I did the Bengals down to 1.5 as well.
Careful.
I
got a bad feeling about that. I like the Cardinals and the public is heavy.
Oh, God, this is the Lions on Christmas all over
play
again.
The Cardinals. If you could still find a 7.5, grab it. It's a nice little hedge for you, although those are mostly gone. I was doing the Fade the Public video last night, and right before I recorded it, that Cincinnati line dropped from 7.5 down to 7. And I'm looking for injuries. I will say they're calling for some maybe wind. It's going to be warm in Ohio, like 40s and 50s Sunday, but it looks like there's possibilities of 10 to 15 mile per hour gusts to both Cleveland and Cincinnati. So maybe that's why, but then the total didn't move, right? It's still like 53. I don't know what's going on there, but if that was sharp money, that is a huge sharp square divide because Cincinnati's one of the most public sides this week.
I'm not excited about it, but I will reevaluate tomorrow. That is a tomorrow problem, Steve Merril. Today we talk
filling that last call spot is a today and tomorrow problem for you because I can't get roped into that next show. You know that.
I know. All right, let's hit that one last game before we get you out of here. Any opinions on the early game? I got corrected in the slate. I had them backwards. We've got the Texans Chargers 4:30 Eastern.
Yeah, they flip-flopped him. You're right about that. I mentioned that actually in the video. The rotation has it the other way around. So they're going to make this Houston's always the 4:30 game.
Yeah,
when they make the play.
Why the rotation number? Hello.
Exactly. Well, here's a sure thing lock of the century. First of all, the Texans are at like 97.5% to make the playoffs. So they're pretty much in. That's a lock. And they will 100% be the 4:30 Eastern Saturday game whenever they play. They always give them and the Bengals that early game, and Cincinnati won't be in. So yeah, this is going to be NFL Network, 4:30 Eastern. The other game is on Peacock, Ravens Packers, and it'll be cold because it's Green Bay at night. I like the Texans as a live dog. So that's another reason why I definitely think they make an excellent teaser play. Two mediocre offenses, but the Texans have a substantial better defense here. And you also got to wonder, Kelly, about the Chargers. I took a spot against them last week. The public was on them. It was a public dog. You know, I love to fade public dogs. I thought the Cowboys were in a good spot. Well, I thought the Chargers were in a bad spot. They got it done. They're now off of 3 straight underdog wins in a row, and now they're laying points on a short week against a really good defensive team. Like the Texans, but I definitely bless your Texans teaser at plus 7.5 or more.
All right, guys, he is Steve Merril of WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/SM to get there quicker, like he likes to say. Also, shout out to David Delano, Picks and Parlays VR. You guys can catch him on Bet On It with me. And back here tomorrow on Last Call, Steve Merril. We adore you. Everybody in the comment section loves to say that you're their Wager Talk dad. I think it's absolutely hilarious. Shout out to everybody who hung out with us today on this beautiful Saturday morning. I hope you guys enjoy a wonderful day of rest and relaxation, because that is what I'm going to do. Cash them, don't trash them. We'll see you guys next week.